the shortest chapter in a book called a novel historic. It's kind of a spirit. I call it a spiritual historical novel, and it is about 2/3 of the way through the novel, and it's the first novel of a series. And thank you to Authors at Large, because I'm working on the next two, which I've been working on for about 2 or 3 years now. Here. Chopping and changing from one to the other, which kind of drives one crazy, but anyway, because it came out of this novel. So, this chapter is called The Battle of France, and this is the protagonist. He's a 94-year-old homeopath who's recounting his life to his grandson, who's in hospital after getting beaten up, and he's in a coma. And so he feels that he has to tell his story. And so he's about 2/3 of the way telling his story in his hospital. So the Battle of France. He lay dying beside me in the ditch. The blood had passed through his jacket, staining the hand he couldn't use anymore. In his other hand was a photograph of a young woman. Her features, a small pointed nose and sly smile, reminded me of Thérèse. He had asked me to fish it out of his chest pocket only moments before. I read the inscription on the back before I gave it to him. Je t'aime toujours, Veronique. My wife, he said, in perfect Parisian French. I smiled. Above us, you could still hear the sound of bullets and screams. Beside us, on top of each other, were 2 other German officers I had shot. He reached his hand out to mine, the photo now submerged in blood on his chest. I took his hand in mine. I could feel his fear. We looked into each other's eyes. Then, as I was to experience so many times in the future when people died in my care, a peace came over him, as if he were bathed in silence. The fear had gone. All that was left was innocence, the miracle of the human being, a deep thankfulness in his eyes, a gratitude. He smiled and said, Merci, Ezekiel moi. I smiled at him, and then he died. I closed my eyes and quietly recited Psalm 23, his hand still warm in mine. After a few moments, I lifted his hand and rested it on her photograph. In my other hand was Dad's opinel, a gift before I had left the Mass. Only a minute before, I had thought I would have to use it if my last bullet hadn't done its work on Veronique's husband. Her husband's name was Herman Schmidt. He was the last man I killed in the Battle of France as a regular soldier.